These are not pictures from France or Germany, but the new Polish reality. The internet is flooded with videos of residents concerned about the situation in their cities. This is a video from Wrocław, Poland. Oh no, it has begun. And this is Szczecin. More and more Polish people are seeing with their own eyes the problem that TV Republica has been warning about for a long time. Such scenes, so far associated with Arab countries or Western Europe, can be encountered in the vicinity of the Gdańsk Mosque. It seems that those in power are unaware of how quickly Polish cities are changing. That's why Polish people are increasingly taking to the streets. This is today's demonstration from Gdańsk. It is up to all of us, more than politicians perhaps, to defend our homeland, to defend our homes, to defend our women, mothers, wives, and daughters. In recent days, German media have reported on Berlin's secret plan to send migrants back to neighboring countries. There were already supposed to be behind-the-scenes talks with the Polish government on the matter. This means that even more unverified foreigners may soon be sent to Poland. They are transported, and it's on such a basis that German police cars drive in and drop them off and leave them here. Poland is treated as if it is not a sovereign state, but a German state. Official German parliament data shows that some 9,000 migrants from Germany entered Poland last year alone. And all this even before the Migration Pact has come into force. Despite Donald Tusk's assurances, Poland will not be exempt from its mechanisms. They are simply performing some circus acts at the moment to make Poles believe that they were in favor of defending Polish borders from the beginning. Well, anyone who has at least a little memory in his or her mind knows that it was the very opposite, that they insulted those who defend Polish borders, that they ridiculed the construction of the wall. At the time of the adoption of the Migration Pact, Tusk guaranteed the public that Poland would be excluded because we took in refugees from Ukraine. I don't know how Poland was supposed to be excluded because it contradicts the whole Migration Pact, the provisions of which concern illegal refugees, not asylum seekers, whose case is regulated in the European Union anyway. The Migration Pact stipulates that failure to take in migrants will have financial consequences. Given the state of the budget, it is unlikely that Poland will be able to pay fines numbering in the millions of euros. The price is quite high, and sooner or later, Tusk will say that we can't pay that much and at least a few thousand must be accepted. After all, what are all these centers being prepared for? After all, not in order to not perform the duties of the Migration Pact, but to receive these migrants, because its primary purpose is to relieve migratory tensions in the West. The Migration Pact will not come into force until the middle of next year. However, more and more migrants are already entering Poland, brought here by German services. Border controls, as called for by Law and Justice, could help. The Polish Ministry of Internal Affairs and Administration downplays the problem and rules out such a solution. I call on Prime Minister Donald Tusk to immediately introduce controls on our side. It is not only Germany that can control those who enter German territory. It is up to us to put a barrier up on our side together. Let the border guard on our side check who the Germans are bringing in here. The topic of migration is being raised in Karol Nawrocki's election campaign. The citizens' candidate for the president of Poland assured that the safety of Polish people would be a top priority for him. The president of the Polish state is there to secure the daily lives of our women, our children, and ourselves, not to solve the affairs of our Western or other neighbors to the deprivation of the Polish gene. I will never agree to that. Polish people could have prevented the scenario that is unfolding before our eyes. During the 2023 referendum, Polish authorities could have been obliged not to accept migrants. But then, as a result of the propaganda of Donald Tusk and the media favorable to him, the required turnout was not achieved. This is supposed to be a deal to strengthen global security. An informal meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and the President of Finland took place in Florida in the United States. As a result, a massive investment in a fleet of icebreakers has just been announced, and it could be Finland that supplies the Americans. In the background, the idea is to increase security in the Arctic, where both the Russians and the Chinese are getting bolder. There are no greater ice-crushing specialists. The ships designed in Finland are among the best. It is enough to say that 80% of such vessels in the world were designed by Finnish companies, and more than half were built in Finnish shipyards. Now a record order may be coming to Finland. The United States is interested in boosting its tiny two-ship icebreaker fleet. President Stubb and I look forward to strengthening the partnership between the United States and Finland, and that includes the purchase and development of a large number of badly needed icebreakers for the U.S., delivering peace and international security for our countries and the world. Donald Trump has been emphasizing a key security direction for Washington for many months. It's about the Arctic and the sea routes used by Russia and China. He is echoed by the head of NATO, who referred to the need to secure this region of the world during a recent meeting with the American president.
When it comes to the high north and the Arctic, you are totally right. The Chinese are now using these routes. We know that the Russians are rearming. We know we have a lack of icebreakers. So the fact that the outside Russia, there are 7 Arctic countries working together on this under US leadership is very important.
But according to the Americans, there can be no improvement in Arctic security without an increased American presence on a key island in the region. It concerns Greenland, according to Washington, insufficiently secured by Denmark, from which Greenland is formally dependent. The Americans are exerting pressure for closer relations.
If you look at Greenland right now, if you look at the waterways, you have Chinese and Russian ships all over the place. And we're not going to be able to do that. We're not relying on Denmark or anybody else to take care of that situation. And we're not talking about peace for the United States. We're talking about world peace. We're talking about international security.
In recent days, the Vice President of the United States flew to the American base in Greenland. His arrival was boycotted by Greenland's Prime Minister, who is bidding farewell to his post after losing the election. In Copenhagen, on the other hand, there are voices calling for a reasonable compromise and cooperation.
We respect that the United States needs a greater military presence in Greenland, as Vice President Vance mentioned this evening. We, Denmark and Greenland, are very much open to discussing this with you, with an open mind. We still have the defense agreement from 1951. It offers ample opportunity for the United States to have a much stronger military presence in Greenland. If that is what you wish, then let us discuss it.
There are many indications that after an initial rather aggressive exchange of pleasantries, Washington and Copenhagen may come to an agreement. All the more so because in the wake of the increased military presence, the Americans may make business proposals, which the new Greenlandic authorities are already known to care about. South Korea has been battling the largest wildfires in the country's history for more than a week. Police have arrested a 56-year-old man who allegedly started the fire with which the tragedy began. According to testimony from the man's daughter, he went to the cemetery that day and performed an old ritual over his grandparents' grave. It consisted of burning a branch over the tombstone. The 56-year-old man does not admit to being guilty. The fires that broke out the previous Saturday have forcibly displaced more than 30,000 people, including the elderly from rural areas of the country, destroyed hundreds of homes, and burned more than 45,000 hectares of forest in the southeastern region. People are already returning home, but what they are seeing is horrifying. I don't know where to start. I don't have building materials. I don't have tools. What should I do? We won't do anything ourselves. I have no place to sleep. This is the biggest problem. Everything burned and melted in the fire. We need temporary container homes for dozens of families. Government representatives told me it would take about 2 months. 4,000 buildings were also destroyed, including a historic temple complex. Videos posted on social social media show the scale of the fire.
그 슬픔은 이루 말로 할 수가 없어요.
The sadness is indescribable. This place is so precious to us. It is a holy place that has existed for more than 8,000 years. Volunteer Kim spends several hours a day scouring burned-out farms, driving along rural roads looking for dogs, cats, and other pets that have survived and need help. The atmosphere and fear created by the smoke was terrifying, and we were unable to help them. The fact that the animals had to endure everything on their own was very painful for us. Many four-legged animals were found tied up on chains, unable to escape the flames. Burns are usually divided into 4 degrees. Chul Soo has 2nd or 3rd degree burns because all of his skin has been burned. Young Yi has 1st to 2nd degree burns, but they are also very painful. Vets and animal lovers are calling for a review of animal protection policies and emergency response measures to prevent similar tragedies in the future. Will a French court exclude one of the most important figures in French politics, Marine Le Pen, from the next election? This could be another political storm to shake up France. Marine Le Pen has run for election 3 times before, in the last one winning more than 40% of the vote. This is a trial brought against politicians by politicians and even for political purposes, and I think this has been clearly shown. The case is a legal curiosity because the court would take away Le Pen's ability to run for election before a final determination of her possible guilt by the court. It would also violate the constitutional right for free elections in France. One would like to say that this is simply disgusting, even if she were guilty. Other parties do much worse, and we don't even talk about it, and she could possibly face 5 years. It is not only her supporters who are warning against the consequences of a decision that would prevent Marine Le Pen from running, because in the long run, it could even help the French right and Marine Le Pen's party to take power. It's something very serious to say to someone who could potentially win 40% of the vote in a presidential election. You can't run next time. It won't be the death of the party, because they might still have another candidate, and it will give the impression of a very political verdict. Although her closest associate and current leader of the National Rally, Jordan Bardella, is shying away from a potential run. I don't even want to speculate on this because we know very well that Marine Le Pen is completely innocent. If indeed Le Pen could not run in the next presidential election, Jordan Bardella would most likely become the party's candidate, and this popular politician would have a good chance of winning. In my opinion, he, although very different like Le Pen, would also be a great candidate in the presidential election. The very case Le Pen is accused of is another bizarre situation. It concerns the alleged involvement of her party's assistants in the European Parliament in working for the party. This is what Le Pen could face a 5-year sentence for. It will be extremely tempting for judges to prevent Le Pen from running and sentence her for the required 5-year prison term. It will be truly deeply shocking, including to our democracy. But also, the absence of a verdict for Marine Le Pen could be problematic for her political opponents, because the case will strengthen her and her party. If she is acquitted, things will go her way. She will be seen as someone who has managed to overcome serious problems and who has managed to convince the judges with her arguments that she is innocent. Marine Le Pen took over the party from her father many years ago, but while Jean-Marie Le Pen, who is accused of anti-Semitism among other things, had no chance of taking power, his daughter, year after year, has been strengthening her position and that of the party in French politics. The leader of the former National Front and now National Rally is the extremely popular 30-year-old Jordan Bardella, but Marine Le Pen remains in the party and is considered a favorite for the 2027 French presidential election.